or who sang it, and they'll come up with, Elvis Presley sang it, and I'll say, what about this song? And they'll go, yeah, what's the name of that? Because that one is a little more difficult, and one and the other, will start singing and humming along, and I'll invite them to hum along. And then once I've got that, that kind of thing broken, the ice broken, I then may go with them and say, all right, maybe it's time for us to hum along with these tunes, because sometimes people are very intimidated to sing right away, so we start humming along. So what I'm doing in my group is just kind of warming them up and, getting the energy up. And so then we'll sing tunes. And I use the tune that my friend Carol uses. He's got the whole world in his hands.
Oh, yeah.
And it's great because you can go around and, what else does he have in his hands? And then use the names of the people, what are your names and your names? And it's a very community building kind of song. Mm-hmm. And then I go from that, I'll often go from that to other just real good sing-alongs, like, American folk tunes. If I'm with a group, an ethnic group, I'll make sure that I put in, certain tunes that are good for that group. If it's in, if a particular age, I'll work with that. And then usually, by that time, people are really cooking, and they're participating, and their music brings them together in a way that nothing else does, really. And then I may talk a little bit about the harp, because it's such a unique instrument, and often, people have a lot of questions about the harp. And then we go into, again, sing-alongs, name that tunes, we kind of mix and match. And often I will say to them, my first group that I did, I said to them, well, our time is up, and they're going, oh, they were having such a good time. And I said, but I have a dessert for you. Oh, dessert. Yeah, this was an adult daycare. And I said, do you have something on your schedule that you have to go to, like right now? And they said, oh, that can wait. And I said, well, this is something that I'm just, that I'm just new at. And I let them know that I'm just starting out with, with laughter yoga. And I say, we're going to laugh. And then I give them a little background, very little background on the fact that we don't laugh enough, and how good it is for the, for the body and the mind and the spirit and so forth. And then I go into, just a few of the exercises, the chanting, which sometimes I don't call chanting. We just do it. Because sometimes there are people who have things about, I'm trying to make it very generic so that nobody pushes away or closes down or doesn't want to participate. And with the seniors that I've worked with, I've noticed that, and sometimes I'll do musical things, I'll say, I'm going to do something called the glissando. When I get to the top, everybody's going to laugh. That kind of thing, where I can bring in the harp with what I'm doing. The things that seem to, many of them can't move a lot, so they can't do yay, So I'll do I'll do very good yay, have it modify all of the movements, and tell them ahead of time, if there's something you can't do, don't do it, because if your body's telling you today is not the right time to do it, honor that. And so the hot soup, they can all relate to hot soup. Even if they're sitting, did you do hot sand? Okay.
Yeah, standing.
Yeah, they can usually move their feet a little bit. Hot sand. I don't do the milkshake with a lot of the seniors, because they just don't have that
They can't,
movement.
the shoulders.
You can do it modified,
Yeah.
but some people have real shoulder problems, and I don't want them. Sometimes the people will do things even though it hurts because they want to participate, and especially if it's a high-charged group, you don't want anybody overdo it. So I'm always erring on the side of caution.
Right.
And so of course the telephone I can do. I don't use cell phone because they're older and
Right.
they don't relate to cell phones. So I'll say, somebody calls you and they're, and they're telling you the most outrageous story, and you just, and so we laugh at that. There's one group that I work with that's in a rehab. It's a short term, maybe a few weeks at a time. And these people haven't laughed, at least since their injury or problem. And they're pretty drawn when I come in. So I really work the music with them and wind up again doing the laughter. With them I try to do the laughter kind of interspersed. So I'll do a few tunes and they'll name some songs, and then we'll sing some tunes together, and then I'll start with some of the laughter yoga tidbits. The last time I did it with this one group, the activities director came to me, and she really had tears in her eyes, and she said, "I didn't realize that all through our OT and PT and all of this, we never laugh. It's always hard work, and we're trying to get people to stay motivated and to move and she right away caught on how important it was, to laugh. Some of the chants that I've used, I was fixing lunch and doing other things, so I don't know all that you do, but they're, affirming, very, very life affirming. I'm amazing, you're amazing, we're amazing. And they really relate to that, and we can do that, throughout the session. I did a laughter yoga presentation to a group of business, mostly men. I belong to a business group, and they're a friendly group, but they're all business, and they're all high-powered people, and it's about finances and making the next sale, and and not being silly, definitely not being silly. So, and I presented to them with other things that I do in other sessions, so they never know what to expect when I take the center stage. And so I didn't give them any clue about it ahead of time. And I just came into the center. They're kind of seated around a long square table, and about 30 or 40 of them in the room. And I said, I know you're going to, and they have breakfast.
Oh, they were eating while you were doing this?
I said to them I wanted to do it after the meal, but a lot of people take their time, or they come in late and they get so some people were still eating, and that's always a challenge because they don't want to leave their food. So I said to them, just for the next few minutes, I'm going to ask you to do something that you're going to hate to do. And they go, oh God, what is she going to make us do now? And I said, I'm going to make you stand up. And it was like, stand up, it's like we always sit through this meeting, but I made them stand up, and I started with the greeting, and I figured that would be, a way to kind of, and I didn't do handshake, and I didn't do the namaste, I did bumps. And that way, they did something that they weren't used to doing, and they kind of got it. And I walked around, trying to energize the room, and I said, you need to laugh because you haven't bumped people in a long time, and get that going. There were some who, they kind of, as I went through the different scenes, they kind of got it, they didn't, but most of them did. And several of them came up to me at the end of the session and said, I forgot how good it feels to laugh. I really forgot, and I know I'm going to feel good the rest of this day. So, and it really came from men that I wouldn't have anticipated that it would come from. So this is great stuff, this laughter yoga. It can be, you know, you don't have to do a whole session for it to really be effective. And the best way I've found to practice is to do tasters, you know, as you go. Just kind of, even in a conversation, you know, let me show you a few things that I learned in this laughter yoga, because a lot of people have never heard of laughter yoga, and you really want to get the word out to talk about, you know, how beneficial it is to the health. And I find that the health benefits are really kind of the hook. People want good health. You know, people are talking about clean eating and, you know, doing things in healthier ways. And when you start talking about, you know, this, you know, 5 minutes of laughing is tantamount to you're working out for, you know, 10 minutes. You know, I don't know the numbers offhand, but I just throw that out and go, really, I can laugh for 5 minutes, and it can be the same as me being on a treadmill, or, you know, and that I just find that kind of brings them in. Yeah. So I don't know, that's kind of what I do with it, and I play with it. I you know, I don't work. Actually, the first time I did it, I left the office to go for this senior center, and I forgot, I had written out, you know, just the names of the different scenarios, and I left it in the office. And I thought, oh my God, how? So I had, you know, my assistant send it to me by text, because I figured I could, or by email, so I could read through it. Well, it's impossible when you're out there doing it. Yeah. You can't be looking at your cell phone. I mean, that's like, that disconnects you immediately. So it was like sink or swim, kid. You're on your own. And what I kept doing is, you know, as I was doing one, I was trying to find links to the other. When I do, you know, the one about the argument, I think of argument, and then I go immediately into forgiveness, because I think, okay, I mean, one triggers the other one. The hot soup, you know, anything hot soup, hot sand. I found ways to link to jog my memory, so that I would, you know, I'd be able to do it. So ever since then, I do not work with any prompts. And if I forget, I tell them, I forgot.
You laugh about it.
You know?
Exactly.
I mean, we make light of everything. And again, in the rehab scene, that was the most, to me, that was the most dramatic change that I found. Because these people are dealing with chronic pain, and, you know, maybe not being able to do things that they used to do, and being able to turn it around and getting them to laugh about, you know, just being alive, is a huge gift that you can give them. So that's what I got to say.
Thank you, Edie. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.